For those of you who are joining us again, I'm Lauren Young Derby. Oh my goodness, I am getting my own name wrong. I'm Lauren Young Durbin, and I'm a career clarity coach. And today, joining me for Tyche Talk is Anna Lakomy. And I'm super excited to talk to Anna because she is an expert on helping first generation immigrant women reach their career heights. So let me tell you a little bit more about her. She is known as the career guardian angel, and she's on a mission to empower cycle breaking women, often from immigrant families. With her expertise in neuroscience, behavioral science, and advertising, Anna helps her clients build powerful personal brands that leads to greater influence, impact, and success in the workplace. Say goodbye to workhorse days and say hello to more money, freedom, health, and happiness without selling your soul. So join me in giving Anna a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. So excited to be chatting with you, Lauren. It's like, and I promise that was a lot. I'm realizing now that bio was a lot of jargon and stuff, but I promise we are going to be talking about the nitty-gritty, the actual
Real
real
life
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, it's not going to be anything up here.
Yeah,
We're going to be talking about it's going to be real talk. So, but I'm so
yes.
excited to chat with you.
I know. I love chatting with you. So one of the things that you usually work with immigrant and first generation women. So when you say first generation, do you mean like nationality rights, ethnically, or do you mean like college? First
All of the
generation.
above, all of the
Okay.
above. Anyone who, I think a better word for that would be like a pioneer, someone that's a
Mm,
trailblazer, someone who's doing something for the
love it.
first time, whether it is college or this kind of a job or country or a daughter of someone who moved countries, like yes, basically someone who is doing something that probably didn't grow up with role models, mentors who have done the same.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of women that I love to work with. And those are the kind of women that actually need my help because there's so many challenges that come with being in that position. There's so much passion, but also
Yes.
so much, I believe, in like trying to conform to the image of what is success or what success requires. And I don't think any of that is true.
Yeah.
So
So how did that become your focus? Like
it
how
be
do you decide to this is going to be my niche?
um totally not planned. It was just me moving through my own life and struggling as a daughter of immigrants myself. I found myself completely sort of imprisoned. It sounds silly saying those words, but that's what it felt like, for years without a promotion, working more and more. Like I felt like I was sacrificing my life, my health, my soul, my happiness. I ended up developing burnout and polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a big
Oh,
hormonal
goodness.
imbalance. Yes, because I
Yeah.
was pushing, pushing, pushing myself. And then another thing that's not really talked about, especially in the first gen immigrant community, is like the confidence that starts to plummet when we're
Yeah.
like doing the most in return for the least. There must be something wrong with me. So that
Hmm.
was my journey and my struggle. And then when I was determined to make it to the top, to find out how do you play this game? What game is being run out here? Because I was so busy with my head down, working, working,
Yeah.
working, but everything was happening around here. So I was pretty upset. So I was determined. I was like, listen, I could not get any lower with how I was feeling and how how taken advantage I was. I was like, it can't get worse. Hit rock bottom. So the only way is up. And so within 1 year, I actually got promoted several times, became head of office, doubled my salary,
Wow.
completely changed my entire trajectory. And then I was at the top and I thought, wow, I bet you no one else had the same issues I had. Everyone else has it figured it out. Don't mention your struggle, Anna. It's so shameful. Even though you're a success story, your road is filled with shame and failure and mistakes. But then once I did reach to the top, I looked around and I was like, oh my God, the same pattern is happening to so many brilliant women with their
Yeah.
hearts in the right place, but just not having the kind of intel or support to do it differently.
Yeah.
So long story short, my own trials and tribulations taught me what it was. And then
Hmm.
after the panini, the pandemic, when I thought about what legacy do I want to leave behind, that just was something that blossomed out of nowhere. Never thought I would be a coach or working for myself. You know, as an immigrant woman or a daughter of immigrants, it's like you got to climb the ladder and be safe and
Yes.
stable and secure and have the title and have the salary. And here I am on my own 2 years now, full time. So that's how that happened.
I just imagine it was like one of those meerkats. You're like,
Yeah.
wait a second, what's going on up here?
What was I blind to this whole time? Oh, this explains why everyone was getting promoted and I wasn't, even though their reports sucked. They didn't do as
Hmm.
much volume of work as me. Me. So many tantrums, but you know what? Life isn't fair. And I
Yeah.
either moped about it for the rest of eternity, or I could have figured out how to stack the cards for myself too. I believe we all have cards we can stack for ourselves, but we're busy focusing on the cards we don't have or trying to play the cards, you know. There's so many
Yeah.
superpowers that we have, and just because we haven't seen people do it like that before doesn't mean that it's not amazing, impactful, and going to be successful.
Yeah. My boys are too, so they watch a lot of Blues Clues and You. And
Mm,
there was a song on there Josh sings. He didn't have all the kids made fun of him because was he I think but he was an immigrant. And they're like, you can't be a superhero. So he sung the song says, if you can't see it, be it. So the whole
mm,
point of that is like often you hear the phrase, if you can see it, you can achieve it. But in this case, if you don't see it, be it. And then you can be like the star for someone else. You can help other people, pull
mhm,
other people up.
mhm,
But I like to bring in Blues Clues whenever possible. So that's
Love.
what I spend a lot of my time.
We know what we need as adults, we kind of have to go back to the basics with these
Yeah.
stories to remind ourselves what is the reality. You know, I love
Yes.
that.
So, what are some of the challenges that your clients face and women you work with?
hmm So it's funny. I A lot of them are self-imposed
Mm-hmm.
challenges. And being a workhorse, being the person that does everything for everyone, the miracle worker.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, give it to her, she'll get it done.
Yep.
You know, the person, it's kind of like when you say if you want something done, give it to a busy person, tends to
Mm-hmm.
be the first gen girls, you know?
Yeah.
And these are people due to cultural reasons, oftentimes don't speak up and just say, okay, and get it done somehow, right? Even if they're
Yeah.
breaking their back, not eating, not sleeping, overexerting themselves, right? And that so much inequality happens with this pattern of, you know, the workhorse that has the biggest load just getting more, right? As opposed to, you know, delegating or speaking up. So I would say the biggest um challenges I've seen are that workhorse mentality. I would say it's being the miracle worker. You cannot always perform miracles because then that's your new standard, and then I
Mm-hmm.
also see being the invisible rock star. So being that person that maybe privately you'll hear, wow, you are so incredible, so important to the team, but you never get the recognition, you don't speak up for yourself, you don't have the right connections, and so you are this invisible rock star. Maybe you work mule, I don't know, but you know what I'm trying to say. So I would say
Either
that
way, yeah.
thing. And there's so much cultural messaging, especially for women from different cultures, where it's like, put your head down and don't ask for more. Be grateful for
Mm-hmm.
what you have. You have to work twice as hard as everyone else. Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah. To
blah.
get half as much. Don't forget that other half of that saying. I was thinking that saying as we were talking. Gotta
Mm.
work twice as hard to get half as much.
And then do it with a smile.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't be problematic. Don't ruffle
Yeah.
any feathers. I mean, it's very toxic. It's very toxic. But I think that's part of why I also see a lot of my clients as generally cycle breakers.
Mhm.
You know, they're breaking generational patterns. They're doing something new. They're probably healing generational trauma around worthiness and all these things. So yeah, it's a really big package, I think, that women like
A
us,
lot.
have.
Because it's centuries in the making. It didn't start with you, but it could end with you.
Exactly.
So what, I guess this is where we really get into nitty-gritty. What can you do? What kind of skills
Mhm,
can people start to develop and strengthen in order to combat these kinds of things happening to them?
mhm. And this is where I have some pretty radical different beliefs.
Ooh, I
I know.
love it.
Yes. I mean, I definitely believe, obviously, in the work that I do. I believe in self-advocacy, personal branding, self-promotion. But I can sit here and I can grab a brilliant woman and I can help her with these skills and create the brand and help her articulate her value. However, the primary foundational thing I think that women in this position need to work on is actually much deeper than that. That is like the tip of the iceberg. On the bottom of that iceberg are things like your self-worth.
Yes.
Because if you don't believe that you're worthy of fighting for yourself, if you don't get to a point where you realize your own value, I can give you the best verbiage in the world, but if you articulate it like, I added this last quarter, I increased sales by 21. It's so much of this is energy, you know, and then you have women like that who then will start taking courses on public speaking and all these things, and then
Mhm.
they give themselves more reasons why they suck, why they don't
Yeah.
deserve it, and more reasons to be self-critical. So that's why I believe the foundation is really working on your self-worth. I'm gonna put a word out there that LinkedIn probably doesn't love much, self-love. You know what I mean? Self-love is so that was the part of my journey when I hit rock bottom and I was like, wow, I had actually allowed myself to be taken advantage of all these years. That was more painful than the inequality and unfairness I witnessed. The fact that no one forced me to be there, you know, no one actually forced me to do more and accept less. They just did that because that was my pattern. And I
Mhm.
really had to dig deep and notice what limitations I had in my own mind relative to success, money. I didn't think I was worthy of a bigger salary. No wonder I didn't get a bigger one for years.
Right.
So my work, it did not that 1 year crazy transformation I mentioned, it didn't start with me going, okay, I'm gonna self-promote tomorrow. No, it was like, how do I build my self-worth? And a lot of that happened outside of work. The choices I made to take a break for lunch and feed myself. The
Mhm.
choices I made to do healthy things because I'm a human and I deserve
Yeah.
to treat myself like a human that has needs. The choices, I started spending money on myself. That was really scary. As a daughter of immigrants, you don't do that. You know, I come from a world of Chinatown knockoffs. You don't like spend
Yeah.
money. You know what I mean? That's not what we
Exactly.
do. Even now, like, even now, I'm like, I sort of freak out about things like that. But so I started going to the spa, like something that I would never do, right? Why would I go if I could do it myself? I could take a bath, I could paint my own
Yeah.
toes. When I started doing that, and girl, that was so hard. That was so much harder than the work I was doing in the office. Loving
Mm.
myself was harder. So, long story short, I would say it's literally working on your self-worth, noticing what your own beliefs, and a lot of these are cultural and passed down beliefs about money and hard work and
Yeah.
success and what you're worthy of, what you're capable of. The money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are evil. I mean, I had to actually work on all those separate beliefs.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's so I know you were looking for skills, but it's like, you know what, you really got to dig deep, you know,
Yeah.
change this big pattern. It's not like one or two things. It's foundational like cleaning up basically, I think.
Well, I think skills are something that you learn or you can learn. And a lot of us have to learn to love ourselves. So it
Mm,
is a
mm,
skill,
true.
building that self-confidence, that self-love, that self-worth. That is a skill because well, I don't know, kids are probably born with it, but they don't understand it because the whole world revolves around them.
Mm,
But yeah, that is a skill. And it's probably one of the toughest skills to learn. And you have to keep relearning it over
mm,
and over.
mhm, mhm,
I have to tell myself, I have lots of favorite sayings, but one of my favorite sayings for in this context is that you teach people how to treat you.
mm,
And when I doubt like how I behave, I'm like, maybe I'll be confrontational. Maybe they'll see me as the angry black woman. I'm like, wait, no. Sometimes I have a right to be angry. I'm always a black woman. So there's nothing I can do about two-thirds of that. But I'm teaching them how to treat me.
mhm,
And yeah, and that's really the case. It's kind of what you're talking about. When you take on all the work and you get none of the credit, you don't get the promotions, you don't get the raises. You see your work presented as someone else's in the meetings. Maybe, oh, I'm having flashbacks.
yeah.
It's
Mhm,
like, it's aggravating. It's so aggravating.
mhm,
So we had talked a little bit about, well, you've touched on familial expectations and traditions and being taught like this is what you're supposed to do. For first gen and immigrant women who have those expectations placed upon them by their family and therefore they place it on themselves, how do they balance like that whole I'm a trailblazer with feeling a responsibility?
mhm. I'm gonna be really honest, once again, pretty radical here. It's really, really hard. I've noticed a lot of my clients would identify with the term the black sheep of the family, right? The person who is ostracized, the person who is blamed for everything. So much blame, and it's like, I'm just living my life, right?
Yeah,
And so I'll be honest, like, a lot of times this work, women will be like, "Hey, I want to get promoted." And then it's like this can is open of like, where else are you people pleasing? Where else are you settling? Where else are you teaching people how to treat you that you don't want to be treated that way, right? So it
yeah,
opens up this big can of worms. And honestly, I find that a lot of tough decisions have to be made on this journey up,
yeah,
outside and inside of work. Um, but in order to strike balance, what I found is it's really reconfiguring our approach, which tends to be I am going to work and family, and then my desires, my health, it goes around that. And so
yeah,
I'm always funneling people towards actually flipping that and making work and obligations work around them. So I always tell
yeah,
my clients, like, you're never going to get a permission slip that's like, hey, have a healthy habit where you take an hour long walk every day and take ballet twice a week. And then whatever, take time off during your period because you're not feeling. No, you have to do that and then build everything else around that. No one is
yeah,
coming with a package of permission slips. Like you get to do this, you get to do like you got to take it. That's why I feel
yeah.
like a lot of my stuff can be quite like conquerish, warrior-ish, but that's what we're doing here. We're literally like fighting for our
Warriors.
lives.
Yeah. So I mean, people like get depressed, and depression affects all of your health, mental, emotional, physical. So yeah, really fighting for your lives because I've had so many clients who are just so down and because they're like, I'm tired of being treated this way, and I'm treated this way, like you said, in my family, at work. I can't escape it. So yeah, it has a greater impact outside of just work, just this presentation, just this project. So you do have to take it seriously. Become a warrior, work warrior.
Yes, less workhorse, more warrior, right? Or
Yes.
I like to see less worker bee, more queen bee.
Mhm.
But
and build up other women too while you're at it.
and you can't help but do that.
Mhm.
Speaking of warriors and war, I actually think of my clients as my little army that I'm sending
Ooh,
out there into the world to have this better impact because we need leaders who are empathetic. We need leaders who have different kinds of values, different perspectives and approaches. We need those people who are going to be like, hey, you know what? Maybe this way of working isn't actually helpful.
yeah,
Maybe a 5 hour week isn't a 5 day week isn't necessary. Those are going to be these kind of people, these cycle breaking, new, fresh
yeah,
people. This is the army that's going out there.
yeah. Send them out into the world.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes.
lastly, what are some resources that people can use to start making this transition into a warrior?
Ooh, resources. To transition into becoming this warrior. Hmm.
Other than working with you, obviously. If you want to join her army,
Yes, other than working with me, honestly, I will go back to I think community is super important
mhm,
for every warrior. Like it's sort of like there is no one is an island. And I remember when I was in down in the gutter, I didn't even know about coaches back in the day, or honestly, even if I did, I probably would have had a lot of like objections, money limitations, I remember my first investment in a coach like in 2020, and it was like $1,500, and I was like, oh my God. But like, you know what I mean? So but I think prior to all of that, I had like a community of my fellow first gen daughters of immigrants. I grew up in Brooklyn, so this was very easy to find women like me. And I just remember them being like, when I didn't believe in myself, they believed in me for me. So I think
yes.
that's the best thing we can do as an emerging warrior is to get a rallying cry from your community. And if you don't have a community, that is exactly why you should be the pioneer that creates the community. I love it when I see women who have come to my events or participated in any of my more community-based offers. I love it
Mhm,
when I see them starting their own networking groups or starting it in their own cities, or
yeah,
in their own industry. Like, yes, it might be three people on your first meeting, but it could be 30 in the next year. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So I would definitely say let's lean back on community as our biggest resource. I think that's another thing we struggle as a workhorse is we are so isolated and alone and we feel so
Yes.
unsupported. And then there's a lot of shame in asking for help, but that's exactly where the magic is. I think lean into your friends. Don't be ashamed to talk about what you're going through. You'd be shocked how
Mhm,
many people will be like, oh my God, I'm going through the same thing. And
yes.
then maybe you guys can figure it out together. Maybe you guys can exchange weapons and maybe exchange battle strategies and see what happens. But I would say that would be my biggest recommendation. Find people that you can trust and
Mhm,
and let people love on you. It's hard out there. Let
yeah.
people love on you, and you're more than your job
I love
title.
that. Yeah. So where can people find you?
I like to play on LinkedIn. I also love to play on the playground known as Instagram, probably even more spicy out there. So, thankfully, there's not a lot of Anna Lakomys in the world, although I see more and more creeping in every year. I don't know where they're being born,
They're
but
just trying to be you.
I'm not feeling it. If they could just stop. But if you find Anna Lakomy, hopefully I'm the first person you find on LinkedIn or Instagram.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll be back and share some more of your nuggets of knowledge and help you spread your, not spread, build your army or maybe, I don't
Yes.
know, your your followers. I don't know.
Yup. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So so guys, just to let you know, I'll be back in 2 weeks and we're going to be talking about Write Your Truth, Light Up Your Life with Adriana Lefton. And we're going to be talking about, that book you've been wanting to write? Let's figure out how to do it. So this is for my writers out there, my writers to be. So writers wannabes. all the writers. So check that out in 2 weeks, for Tuesday, June 18th at 3 p.m. All right, guys. See you later.